Hump Day. It's Wednesday, May the 15th, and this is Wager Talk Today. We're live noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific every weekday and then archived 24/7 for your viewing pleasure here on Wager Talk TV. Give it a thumbs up, a like, and comment below. We read all the comments. I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez. He's in Las Vegas with my co-host Teddy Covers. We'll hear about that a little bit later here on in the show. And we do have a great show on this Wednesday, starting off with Bryan Power. Going to talk NBA. Celtics Cavs game 5 here in just a moment. Also a little EPL soccer. Don't forget about that. And in the middle of the show, we have Adam Trigger breaking down some baseball games. Dbacks Raves, also looking at Dan Alexander's Phillies against the Mets. And then finishing off with the prop master himself, Andy Lang. You know he's going to go all over the board, talk some golf, talk some other great things as well. Hockey, NBA. He will look at that Thunder's Mavericks game. So we have both NBA playoff games covered, some baseball, hockey, golf, everything you could want here on Wager Talk Today. Let's get right to it. Bryan Power, BP, we'll start off with you. How are you doing, my man?
Doing well. Wish I was in Vegas, I guess, going to that Dead show with Teddy and Prez, but we could talk about that a different time.
It should be a whole lot of fun, Bryan. Let's start off with wait a minute, where's your games at? Oh, there they are. They're up there.
Yeah, sorry about that, Teddy. I didn't get the rundown for you.
Man.
NBA and EPL.
Celtics Cavs.
Thank you. Okay, you're talking about the third quarter of the Celtics Cavs, which I found interesting. And I want to ask you about why you think the third quarter is the quarter to target for Boston here. Right now, look at the Wager Talk live odds screen. Donovan Mitchell has just been announced or downgraded to doubtful. The 14.5s are gone. Most of the 15s are gone. I'm seeing 15.5 and 16 for the full game line right now. 204, and the total's anywhere from 204 to 205.5. You can shop around, get the best of the number, whether you want over or under. You're going to talk the specific quarter here. I'm fascinated. Tell me why.
Yeah. So first off, some nice synergy with me on the show in this series. If you called last week, I was on talking about game 1, gave out Cavs team total under. That hit. Now I'm back. This is probably the final game of the series, I think, suffice to say. I know I'm definitely rooting for Boston to close it out. I got a 2-1 ticket on them to win the series in 5 games. And I want to get creative, Teddy, here for game 5. I'm not one to lay a big spread like this. There could be a lot of late game shenanigans. Certainly Boston could just wipe the floor with Cleveland, put them out of their misery. But the back door, you would think, probably going to be open no matter what. The spread's not going to go down. Cleveland's obviously up against it, though. 3 of their top 6 rotation players could be out. You mentioned Donovan Mitchell, his status being downgraded to doubtful. Jared Allen has not played in this series. Karis LeVert is now questionable. So they're really up against it. Now, what's interesting, and we talked about this last week, is the Cavs have largely managed to stay competitive in the first halves. They have not trailed by more than 10 going into the break in any of the 4 games. So that's why I want to look at the third quarter. Let's say the Cavs are competitive again in the first half tonight. The third quarter, I see, is when Boston should be looking to step on the Cavs' throats, put this game and series away. In their 3 wins in this series, guys, the Celtics have outscored the Cavs by at least 5 in every third quarter. And even if the Celtics are up double digits going to the break, maybe they have their biggest halftime lead, I see them coming out to start the second half, wanting to deliver that proverbial knockout blow. I guess my only concern, and maybe this is something that's already on your mind, Teddy, is if Boston does have a huge halftime lead, then I would get a little worried about what they're going to do in the third quarter. Do they take their foot off the gas then? But again, that's yet to happen in this series. I'm sure everyone was quick to write Cleveland off. We saw how the market moved when Mitchell was announced out before game 4, and the Cavs still hung with them for 24 minutes. But looking at the third quarter specifically, Cleveland bottom 5 this year in third quarter points per game. And if you go back to the Orlando series in round 1, there were 2 games, both of them on the road, where the Cavs got outscored 37-10 and 36-15 in the third. JB Bickerstaff is not a good coach. This could be his last game on the Cavs bench. So the way I'd attack this is Boston minus 4.5 in the third quarter. That number is going to go up, I'm sure.
I guess you and I have different opinions about JB Bickerstaff, because if you ask me, I'd hire that guy to coach my team in a New York minute. You look at, I think Cleveland has overachieved given the injuries they've had, given the pieces they're putting together. I'm a fan of JB Bickerstaff. So you and I will disagree on that. And
I'll say this. If you've got time, Teddy, I know you have a busy schedule. He'd love to have you here in Cleveland to do a spot on the local news or something, because everybody is shoving him out the door here locally. So, I mean, he needs you, Teddy, to make the case for him, especially if the Cavs go down in flames tonight, like most of us expect they will.
Sure. So the new coach, I'm sure, will be 100 times better than JD Bickerstaff. That'll solve all the problems. Here's my question. All right, because you said, well, what? I mean, Cleveland fought the good fight in Game 5 at home, or in Game 4 at home. Now they're Game 5 on the road. They're facing elimination. Are they going to fight the good fight? Because you need them to fight the good fight in the first half. If you want this, if the Celtics are up 30 at the break, your minus 4.5 third quarter is not is not a bet that we love. Are we confident that Cleveland's going to fight tonight, at least early?
Yes, early. I mean, the season's on the line. I don't expect them to come out and just roll over like dogs right off the rip. I mean, if things start going sideways in the second quarter, then yeah. And that's why I targeted the third quarter, because the third quarter is where you would expect them to roll over, right? The lead starts getting away from them. It gets up to 20. Maybe like I said, they're up by 10 at the half, Boston, which would be just over the halftime number. And then they put it away. So the third quarter, to me, Teddy, is when I think the Cavs will be most likely to roll over, quote unquote, if that is to take place.
It's Bryan Power talking NBA Game 5 tonight, Cavs and Celtics, and he is on a mere 26-11 NBA run. So you might want to pay attention. And Bryan, what jumps out to me there, I like the angle, by the way, because this is something I heard 20-some years ago in college basketball. I was at in 2000. Actually, former William Mary coach Rick Boy just said the first 5 minutes of the second half was the key to college basketball games. I've always thought about that ever since. You do notice the better teams normally dictate their authority at that point. But why not wait until either the halftime line or an in-game line? Probably not a bad way to do it also. That way, if you get that blowout in the first half, you just don't play it. So I think it's an interesting angle, something to keep an eye on tonight, but you can do it in-game as well. Celtics pull away in the third is what Bryan Power says against his Cleveland Cavaliers. EPL, Newcastle United. Talked about this. I got no lead in.
Okay, so you mentioned the NBA hot streak that we're on, Steve, 26-11. Also on a 10-2 hot streak on the pitch, including 6-0 in the EPL. Season ends Sunday. Final match day. Obviously, all the attention is going to be on whether or not Man City finishes off, finishing in first place. All they have to do is win to do so. So the most intriguing thing to me these last few days of the season is who finishes 5th through 7th. That's important because it means getting into European football next season, whether it be the Europa League or the Europa Conference League. And today's two matches, the one I'm going to talk about here, Newcastle United and Manchester United, and then the other one, Chelsea and Brighton. They're going to go a long way in determining that order of finish, guys. Newcastle United, I'm betting on them today. They're currently 6th, and a win would essentially secure European football for next season. It would eliminate Manchester United, who's currently 8th, from European contention via the league. I think Manchester United, and there's a lot of moving parts here, so if you don't follow soccer, bear with me, but Manchester United, their best path in European football is in the Cup final against Man City, which will take place next week, and I think they punted on this league season has Man U. Last 3 times these clubs have met, Newcastle's won all of them. That includes a 3-0 win here at Old Trafford in the EFL Cup. Oh, by the way, Man U has not scored a single goal in any of those 3 matches. Pretty hard to win when you're not putting the ball in the net. And you look at the various metrics, guys, whether it's goal differential, expected goal differential, expected points. All of them say Newcastle has been the superior side this season, and yet still being priced is basically a coin flip on the 3-way line. Some money is coming in on Newcastle this morning here, but Manchester United, I get they've got the brand name. They're at home, but they've won just once in their last 8 matches overall, and that was against last place Sheffield United, who's already going down to the championship. They've been relegated. Wouldn't fault anyone then for playing Newcastle on the 3-way line. Right before we went live, I saw plus 129 there. Certainly that is the way the money is trending, but we can still grab them. Draw no bet at minus 130. I've talked about this particular kind of wager on the show before. I like this option as long as the juice isn't too crazy, because in case of a draw, our bet is a push, not a loss. If you played Newcastle on the 3-way line and the match ended in a draw, you lose. If you are willing to lay minus 130 for draw no bet, it's a push. So I think Newcastle's going to put up plenty of goals here. They're third in the Premier League in XG per 90 since the end of January. And Man U's been horrible defensively down the stretch. I expect the visitors to claim all 3 points in this one.
So I'm looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen. It's showing me Manchester against Brighton and Newcastle against Brentford. Am I missing something, or what am I looking at?
Yeah, I think you might be looking at Sunday. Yeah,
for Sunday,
Newcastle,
right?
Yeah, no, this is for today. This match takes place today.
Oh, never mind. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I thought you said for Sunday. And I'm sitting there scrolling down. I'm scrolling down, trying to find it, scrolling down. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're not playing each other. I'm like, I know Brian. He said he just saw the odds. I'm like, I guess I'm the idiot. But the point is this. When you're looking for soccer lines, look carefully. Mm-hmm. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Make sure you clicked spread to follow this. Again, there is a difference between the draw no bet and the three-way line like I laid out. Yeah, we've got 2 matches today, and then everybody is in action Sunday, the final match day, where we round the season up. Of course, we want everyone playing at the same time, so there's no tanking or funny business. But, yeah, 2 matches today, and I like Newcastle, draw no bet against the slumping Red Devils of Manchester United.
Yeah, the lesson here, Teddy, is like me, don't even look. I didn't even try. I actually thought the season was opening this weekend. That's how little I follow soccer. I was like, oh, EPL's back. I haven't seen EPL on the show for quite a while. If I'm not mistaken, Brian, you haven't talked EPL, I think, for months, have you? On the show. I know you handicapped it.
I think probably within the last couple months, we had a Champions League play maybe 2 weeks ago or so, Teddy, I think, if I remember. That sometimes
you talked about it. Carm's talked about it.
On the show. Yeah.
Well, it's contractually that I can't be here when it happens, so if I don't see it, it doesn't happen. But no, EPL is here, and apparently it's on Sunday also, according to Teddy Covers, so be sure to check out soccer.
Yeah. I'm scrolling and scrolling. You scroll down the MLB lines, you scroll down a little bit. You scroll down the basketball lines, you don't have to scroll down. Scroll down the soccer lines, it's page after page after page. Argentina, Brazil. I'm like, I know it's here somewhere. Thank you, Brian. Good luck. What do you have remote, my friend? What's going on?
Yeah, he's on a nice all sports run, 80% the last 5 days, and it probably includes a little soccer, right, Brian, or it will?
It absolutely does. A perfect 3 for 3 in soccer during that 8-2 all sports run the last 5 days. I mentioned the 10-2 soccer run overall. We've talked about the 26-11 NBA run. That includes 2-0 last night, guys. I doubled up on the Knicks, took them full first half and full game. I'd like all of them to be that easy as we continue through the playoffs. So I've got one best bet in soccer. If you're listening live, you still got a little bit of time to get down on that. And then we've got a best bet in the NBA playoffs for tonight. So another 2 plays, WT.buzz/BP. And also, if you'd be so kind, check out the Morning Wager, myself and Mark Zinno, where we talk a little baseball each and every day. That is already up, Wednesday's edition, right now here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel.
And stole my thoughts, Brian. I was going to say, check out Morning Wager. He was just on that because I will be on with Mark later on the baseball show. And I was seeing if Brian was on any other shows today, but he was on Morning Wager with Mark Zinno. And Mark Zinno and I will be on the baseball show at 2 o'clock Eastern. And then I'll be doing the NBA live show at 4:15 Eastern with Joe Ranieri. And keep in mind, we take live viewer questions in both the baseball and basketball shows. So you can do the chat. You can ask whatever you'd like, and we will answer it on the air. I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez this week. My co-host Teddy Covers. And Teddy, I want to make sure you're still getting a little Prez love. So you're going to see him at the Dead Show. But we also got to make sure we get a little hockey. Andy Lang's going to talk hockey in a little bit. Have you seen the Prez yet?
I did. He got into town yesterday. You heard all the drug mule stuff where he was talking about last week. The dude needs his weed gummies. And we had a wonderful dinner. We had a great dinner at Amalfi. Me, Prez, the Rick Alec, the CEO of WagerTalk Media, and our wife. So it was a ridiculous meal. It really was. There's more 5-star restaurants on the Las Vegas Strip in like a 5 square mile area than I think anywhere in the world this side of Tokyo. Ridiculous meal, 11 out of 10 at Amalfi last night. So we both got the basketball game, the late game. He's got the over. I've got the under. There's no way we're watching that together. Not going to happen. So it's hockey. All right. He's got Edmonton in regulation. And we get done with dinner, and it's 2-0 Oilers. We walk over to the sports book. We're at Caesars. And the Canucks score a goal. Prez, we got to leave. We got to go. So we walk out of the sports book. We're hanging out with the gals. Kara put a 20 in the slots. Prez is trying not to lose his mind. There's 2 minutes left in the third. He's got Edmonton in regulation. The Canucks tie it 2-2. Prez, we gotta go. So we start walking to the parking garage. Prez, don't you want to just stop and watch the last minute and a half? It's okay. We'll wait for you. I can't watch. No, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose. I don't want to watch. We walk away. As we're walking away, a huge roar comes from a crowd watching the game. And Prez literally goes running through the casino, booking to see what he missed. Full-on sprint, sees Edmonton scores a goal, starts high-fiving guys like it was the first bet he ever made and ever won. Good times. And then the effer texts me as I'm driving home, oh, you're going to win that under. I got home, the over had already cashed. Thanks, Prez. Hope I don't have to see you again till the concert on Friday. Nonetheless, it was amusing to watch Lawrence in a social setting last night. And he won his bet. He won both of his bets, one of which was the opposite side of mine. Anyhow, that's what I learned last night, hanging out with the Prez at Caesars.
Never in doubt. 2-0 night, never in doubt. I mean, this just goes back to the whole, long-term investment approach. And if you want to do it for that or for fun, it doesn't mean you can't do it for both, because Prez is apparently doing it for both. He obviously wins long-term, but he lives and dies by the moment as well. So I guess there's different ways. We've talked about it a lot. I do not enjoy the roller coaster. I watched the majority of the Knicks game last night. I had the Knicks. That is enjoyable. Although Turner comes out and hits 3 straight threes to start the third quarter, I'm thinking this is why I hate watching this stuff. And then luckily the 6'9" or whatever he is guy did not keep hitting threes after that. But yeah, it's a roller coaster, and you do have to kind of decide if you want to ride that roller coaster. I think most people do. I think that's why people bet on sports. The majority of people actually don't even really care about winning deep down inside. They like the rush. But yeah, the short-term random variance, these lines are sharper than they've ever been. So you're going to have a lot of that. Luckily, I was not watching the other night, Teddy, when I had the Celtics. I knew once Mitchell, we talked about it yesterday, once Mitchell was announced out, I wasn't feeling good about it. But then I did not see the meaningless layup, luckily. I just got to see it in the recap afterwards. A little less.
It wasn't a layup. It was a jumper. It was like a 15-footer. Yeah. It didn't have to go in. Yeah. It wasn't like a bunny.
Well, what's funny about it too, Teddy, is I enjoy watching games more when I don't have action on them. And I watched game 4. I did not have anything in that Celtic game. And both teams literally dribbled out the clock with that 13-point lead. The Celtics stood at midcourt, dribbled out 20-some seconds. And then Cleveland, and it wasn't going to affect anything. It was at 199, 13 points. But I thought it was interesting. I'm watching Will Cleveland go take the easy layup, and they dribbled out for 20 seconds at midcourt. So when I see that it happens the other night, when it actually affects me, I'm just like, this is why I don't watch this stuff. But yeah, hockey with the Prez in Las Vegas. Good dinner. Could have been worse. Let's bring on Adam Trigger.
Rick Alec.
Yeah.
Rick we talk about Johnny Detroit all the time. Johnny Detroit, the brains behind this. I mean, the COO, he's unbelievable. And of course, Melissa and M2, Missy and M2 back in the home office. We talk about Prez and Marco as being the co-founders, but Rick's the guy that actually keeps everything running day to day, as a CEO. He deserves a little credit too, and we don't give him a lot of love on air. So cheers, Rick. Thanks for doing what you do. All right. Now let's bring it out.
For all those out there that thought Prez kept things running on a day-to-day basis, now they know. Adam Trigger, welcome to the show. Let's talk a little MLB, Adam. We got some NBA and we got some EPL. We're going to have a hockey. We're going to have golf. We're going to have that Mavericks and Thunder game with Andy Lang in just a moment. But I want to talk some baseball with you. Dbacks Reds. I actually had the over the other night on Monday in this game. Got there late. And I talked yesterday about the Reds, how they, were a good offensive team to start the season. And they kind of came back down to earth. Lost 11 out of 12 heading into this week. What's your take on this game, D-backs Reds? Do we trust the Reds, or are they still a fade right now?
I think they're still a fade, Steve. Fading the Reds has been pretty profitable when they win. The next game, they haven't won back-to-back games since April 23rd and 24th. And they really haven't won much at all. 4-14 their last 18 games. They're 2-10 in the month of May. So not a team that's, playing great ball right now. I got bit by them in the Orioles series, kept thinking they would win one. They didn't. So I don't know. They haven't inspired a ton of confidence just watching them lately. And yes, the offense will probably come back around, but I don't know that I don't know that plays here. The Diamondbacks are a team I still like. They're probably not going to end up in a World Series again this year like they did last year, but they come into play 20-23, and my gut tells me that this is still a 500 team, that this is still a team that's going to play pretty good ball this year. So when they're like 20-23, I think they're going to kind of continue to trend toward that 500 line, stay around that 500 line. They're 4-1 against the Reds this season, so they finally lose one to Cincinnati yesterday, but have been pretty dominant against the Reds. And Steve and Teddy, they have been the most dominant of any team in the league against left-handed pitching this season. 306 batting average, 852 OPS, both number one in Major League Baseball against left-handed pitching. So while Andrew Abbott is fine, like he's a guy I do like. Unfortunately for him, he throws the ball with his left hand, and that has not worked out for teams when they face the Diamondbacks, who have just crushed left-handed pitching. And leading the charge there is Ketel Marte, who's kind of been one of the best players in the league. I don't think he gets enough credit, but he's been awesome, and he absolutely hammers southpaws, which should set the tone for the Diamondbacks today. On the other side, Brandon Pfaadt's a guy I really like. I talked about him a ton last year as he was sort of making his transition from AAA to being on the big league club and then pitching well enough to hang around in the big leagues last year. He's emerged as like a consistently good starting pitching option for this team. He's pitched into the sixth inning in 7 straight starts. The only start of the year that he didn't make it into or past the sixth inning was the first start of the year, which he obviously was probably, they were going to be conservative there. And he went 5 innings and only gave up 1 run. He's only really been blown up once. He had 1 bad start against the Cardinals. That was in early April. He's been super consistent. And the 1.19 whip, in my opinion, against his ERA, which is over 4, suggests that he's been a little bit unlucky, as does the 42 strikeouts in 47 innings against just 8 walks. He's got good command. He had good swing and miss rate. He's not giving up a ton of base runners, which is absolutely huge against the Reds. That's what the Reds do well. If they get a guy on, they steal, and they can like sort of manufacture from that perspective. But if they're not getting base runners, this team doesn't score a ton. And with the Diamondbacks likely to score here off the lefty, I think this makes a good spot for Arizona. So not going to be a client play for me at like -145, -150. It was a little out of my price range, but I lean Diamondbacks here. I think they probably put up some runs against the Reds today.
So, I mean, Fats, what? The D-backs are 1-6 in his last 7 starts. And the thing that stood out to me when looking at the numbers, he was striking out batters in April. He had the 11 strikeout effort against Seattle. He had a 7 strikeout effort against Atlanta, which is impressive. 2 May starts, he's given up 15 hits and only struck out 4 batters, none in his last start, another loss. Does that concern you that maybe he's trending in the wrong direction in that regard?
I just think it's the ups and downs of a Major League Baseball season. You pointed out, I mean, racking up strikeouts against the Braves is not easy. I haven't seen any reason to think he'd be getting fatigued. So for me, it's just, it's an up and down game. You can look at any player. There's going to be hot. There's going to be cold. I prefer to look at the bigger picture here with the fact that he's striking out almost a batter an inning. The command has been good. Some of the runs against him have been a little bit unlucky. And again, the 1.19 whip, it pretty much supports that. A sub, typically guys, starting pitchers with a whip below 1.2. ERA is more in like the mid to high 3s. It's not going to be over 4. But again, for me, this one, if he gives us a quality start here, 6 innings, 3 runs or less, I think the Diamondbacks, they didn't use any bullpen guys yesterday, trailed pretty much the whole game, and were able to get out of that without using any high leverage relief arms. So, they're 4-1 against the Reds this year. They've crushed left-handed pitching. I think it's a nice spot for the Diamondbacks.
Adam Trigger, WagerTalk.com, breaking down some baseball, and we're going to talk about Teddy's New York Mets against Dan Alexander's Philadelphia Phillies. And so glad you're doing this game, because when I do the baseball show today at 2 Eastern, I might not have to talk Phillies since it's been discussed already. And I know, Dan, you can hear us as he's producing the show live right here on WagerTalk TV. Speaking of the Reds starting good, not playing well now, what about his Phillies? 2-4 start, and they've now, I believe, gone, 26-9 since. They're 30-13. They've won the first 2 of this 4-game series. Got a pair of lefties on the mound tonight, Adam, in this New York-Philadelphia game.
Yeah, I just want to throw something out quick. I have a play on the Orioles. It goes in 10 minutes. 4%er. I didn't put it up for sale because I decided late. I would have come on the show and broken it down, but the game starts in 10 minutes. So just to, if you want the breakdown for that, go back to yesterday's first pitch. I did this whole big thing about Bradish, and then the game got rained out. So I chose to talk about Mets Phillies, kind of like the next game up type deal. The Mets are not a bad baseball team. So instantly I look at this and I see some value with the run line, getting the run and a half. I guess this is like a gut thing for me, Steve. I feel like they take one of these games in Philly. So weird little series here that they've got going on. It's because they're playing in London, I believe, where they're doing like a home and home, 2 in Citi Field. Now they're going over to Philly for 2. I just don't think they're going to get swept across these 4 games. And they're a good team. They have an elite bullpen. So as hard as it is to fade the Phillies or want to play against the Phillies, I think you can make more of a case to do it when you're getting the run head start like you are here at a very reasonable price. Now, I owe Dan an apology. That's our producer, because I said negative things about Ranger Suarez earlier in the season. I have to take all those things back because he is off to a historic start. He has been phenomenal. 1.5 ERA, a whip under 1. His hard hit rate, Steve, is the lowest in Major League Baseball, 28.2%. He leads the MLB in terms of lowest hard hit rate. And so it's really hard to tell where the regression could come from, if it's going to come from. But the one thing I will point to is the teams that he's faced pretty much all season. Marlins, Giants, Padres, Reds, Rockies, Pirates, Nationals are all either teams that haven't seen much of him or have a terrible lineup. The one team that has had some exposure to him, that has a pretty good lineup, was the Braves. 3 runs, 5 innings. It's his only non-quality start of the season. So now he faces a Mets team. They haven't been hitting, but they have had a good amount of exposure to Suarez over the years. Pretty respectable numbers. Maybe a little bit of underlying value there because otherwise, I mean, you're obviously getting the top of the market with Suarez. Everyone knows he's good. He's off to a historic start. So, potentially this is where a team hits him a little bit. On the other side, it looks like it's going to be Joey Casey for the Mets. They moved Adrian Hauser, I think, to the bullpen. He was supposed to start. They were going to use him in relief yesterday. Decided to call, Lucchesi back from AAA. I think this is a good spot start opportunity for him. He's a solid pro. He's a veteran. He was fantastic for the Mets last year when they needed him. 2.89 ERA across 9 starts. He's been awesome at AAA Syracuse so far this year. I've got a chance to see him pitch a couple times. A sub-3 ERA there. And you got to remember last year he came off Tommy John surgery. So, those AAA numbers last year were a little bit understated. When the Mets needed him, he was great. And they need him again here, and I think he goes out and gives them a good quality effort here. They bring Vientos back, which I think is smart. He's been raking at AAA. I think that could inject some life into this lineup. And the Phillies, I do think they have to regress a little bit with the fact that, like, Turner has been on the DL since May 3rd. It hasn't really mattered. Bryce Harper didn't play yesterday. I don't know if we'll see him today. Real Muto's been dealing with a knee injury, so the Phillies seem to be at their peak. I still think they're a very good team, but probably going to be some value spots to play against them, especially when you're getting a run and a half like you are here with the Mets.
Real Muto has been upgraded to probable. Harper is still questionable for tonight for Philadelphia. So the Phillies have won 9 games by a single run. The Mets have lost 5 games by a single run. So both teams, in theory, the plus 1.5, it makes sense because they've been involved in a fair few 1-run decisions. That being said, when we look at this price point, to take the Mets, if you don't think they're going to get swept, you can get them at plus 170 to win the game. If you're if you're taking the Mets plus a run and a half, I'm seeing minus 130s. Is that, we're talking about 100 cents difference for a single run. Is that worth it?
It's going to be more juice because of the visitors, and you get the extra at bat, I suppose. Probably, Teddy, to be honest with you, probably not. If this was cheaper, it would probably make my client card. If this was in like the minus 105, minus 110 range, I'd be far more likely to take a shot there. I personally don't want to lay minus 130 to get the run and a half. I think, with what we've talked about already as I look through the games, again, I gave you the Orioles, which is a 4%er for me. The only reason I didn't come and do the big breakdown is it starts in 5 minutes. We just talked about another game. So we're getting down the list here a little bit. It's like the third or fourth best angle on the board, in my opinion, one that goes a little bit later. But I do think if like Philly's money comes in, which would not surprise me all that much. Certainly someone out there is going to want to bet on Suarez and the Phillies with how hot they are. And this moves 15, 20 cents. I think you can make a pretty good case to jump in and take the 1.5 with the Mets.
Adam Trigger talking some baseball. He just gave you a 4% best bet, which starts in 4 minutes for free. If you didn't hit the thumbs up, the like, take half a second to do so. I'd greatly appreciate it. He just gave you a free client best bet here on Wager Talk today. Adam, what else do you have going on at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, so I'm on a nice run right now. 6-1 in my last 7 best bets. Hopefully 7-1 if the Orioles get it done for us this afternoon. I have a WNBA play tonight. Won my first one of the year last night with the Sun. It's a league I've bet pretty much regularly over the last decade. Didn't do it last year. That was a mistake. I brought it back for this year. And so that one is up on my page. So far, just the 2 plays for me. I may add, and if I do, I'll post it at wt.buzz/AT. But yeah, that's all I've got for today.
Adam Trigger, WagerTalk.com, gave you the Orioles a free client play that goes in 4 minutes here for the live viewers. And don't forget, we all post free plays. I've got a free baseball play tonight as well, an American League game for free for my viewers on my page, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Yet another reason to check out WagerTalk.com for tons of free plays, hockey, basketball, baseball, every day with analysis from all the cappers, including Teddy Covers and myself, Steve Merrill. If you're finding Wager Talk today and Wager Talk TV useful, once again, quick thumbs up, like, takes half a second, helps keep this content free and plentiful here on the network. If you have time, comment below, live chat or afterwards on YouTube. We read the comments, we reply back. Hit subscribe and click that bell as well for instant alerts. You know, when these shows and videos go live each and every day. Teddy's doing an opening line report every morning. I'm doing my NBA playoff breakdown. I've got deep analysis, 20-minute video for both games tonight, Cavs Celtics and Thunder Mavericks as well. So keep checking out Wager Talk TV and make sure you subscribe here for some great free content each and every day. All right, Teddy, let's keep the baseball theme going before we get to Andy Lang. The prop master is going to break down some golf, hockey, NBA in just a moment. But you've got a big game breakdown baseball style from an American League East game for tonight on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Big game breakdown time here on Wager Talk today. Your Sports Central for gamblers every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon for you back east. Let's talk about the Red Sox and the Rays. Looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, I'm seeing Boston. Let's call it minus 130. We've seen some money for the under. Total was 8.5. Now we're looking at 8s for this ball game. And I want to take the bullpens out of the equation here. All right, completely. The Red Sox had a walk-off win in the 12th inning last night. Both bullpens got used up pretty good. Let's leave this, at least for my wager, starting pitcher versus starting pitcher. And there's urgency here for Tampa. Make no mistake about it. They've lost 4 of their last 6. They lost in extra innings last night. But the one thing the Rays are starting to do they weren't doing earlier in the year, they're hitting the baseball right now. The power bats have heated up. They've scored 5 or more, 3 of their last 4, 7 of their last 11. It's an offense that's finally starting to click. You know, when we look at the track record for Tanner Houck, and Hawk's been pretty good this year. He has 2 starts against the Rays last year. And I worry about the guy, I don't worry as much about the guy that pitched well in one and then got bombed in the other. Houck got bombed in both of those starts. 8 innings, 15 hits, 11 runs allowed. The Red Sox, still a sub-500 team at Fenway, just like last year. And they're going against Taj Bradley, who I faded in his first start of the year, and I was lucky to get a win with the Yankees of fading Bradley because Bradley was brilliant in that ballgame. 7 strikeouts, 6 innings of 1-run ball against the Bronx Bombers. He was real good, struck out 15 in 2 starts against AAA opponents at AAA Durham before he got back to the bigs. And he's in excellent current form right now. So I'll take my shot with Bradley and the Rays at the plus price. First 5 innings against Boston in Boston. And, of course, take advantage of the special offer right now. WagerTalk.com. 7 days of MLB All Access, just $7 a day, $49 gets you every play every day in MLB for 7 days. Get it now, wt.buzz/TC, or from any of the cappers at WagerTalk.com. Steve?
Teddy covers a little big game breakdown, MLB style. We're going to have Andy Lang in just a couple minutes here. He'll be joining us, the prop master, Andy Lang, talking some golf. Game 5, Thunder Mavericks, and also Game 5 for tomorrow's Oilers Canucks series that Teddy and the Prez caught live last night at Caesars. And Teddy, while we're closing off the baseball segment here on the show, anything jump out to you after the first couple months of the season? The Astros obviously starting to maybe turn the corner. The Rays were another team that started slow with the bullpen. You just talked about that game tonight against the Red Sox. Your initial thoughts? We're about a quarter of the way through. We're over 40-some games in, so we're about 25% plus into the baseball season. Anything special jumped out to you so far?
So the two teams that made the World Series last year, Texas and Arizona, have both been excellent fades. And the Rangers in particular have been good for my bankroll because they've been laying prices. Arizona, not so much. But that's been good for me in MLB thus far. I mean, in terms of stuff that stands out, look, we talk about the worst teams and how hard it is to make money with the worst teams, except for when they're on an uptick. Look at the White Sox right now, cashing big plus prices. They've been very profitable. Look at Colorado pulling out upsets against San Diego, especially in those division games. Sometimes the big dogs can be very live. So, I mean, if you're talking about a broad overview, there's a broad overview of some of the stuff that I've noticed in MLB. What about you, Steve? What's standing out to you when it comes to the first quartile of the season in baseball?
Well, first of all, Blanco with the Astros, didn't know how he was pitching so well. We found out yesterday that he was, and I guess he got caught cheating finally. So we'll see if some of that comes down. That always seems to happen in late May, early June.
Wait, Houston's cheating? What?
Stuff. Yeah, surprisingly, it was a Houston Astro, Teddy. We didn't see that part coming either. But I think the fact that you mentioned some of those teams have turned the corner is a perfect example of how we handicap differently. In college football, I talk about this. I really have quarters for the college football season. I know they only play like 12 games, but it's really the first 4 or so in September, the non-conference schedule. And then all the MAC teams aren't getting blown out anymore. They're playing each other in October. And we're at that point in baseball now. So I would be very careful for the young cappers, the new cappers out there, relying on too much what we saw in April and early May, because as you said, Teddy, the White Sox, who went 3-22 to start the season, have been the most profitable team over the last week and a half in all of baseball. So things do have an ebb and flow, and I like to kind of take a forest from the trees approach, and we're in that second quarter of the baseball season right now. It does look like the Astros playing a little bit better as well, so we'll see what happens. And we do have Andy Lang. We're making sure he looked perfect on camera because he's breaking down 3 different props, and we're going to bring him in now. Andy Lang, the prop master, going to talk some golf, some basketball, some hockey. We should be doing auto racing, Andy, because you're at Daytona as we speak, but we're not. We don't have time for all of that. So, Andy, I'll throw it to you. We're going to talk a little PGA Championship, one of the majors going this weekend. What's a prop you're looking at there?
Well, first off, the episode of Tea Time is up at the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Myself and Nick Borman did a complete breakdown of the course, the field, DraftKings, darlings, everything to get you guys profitable for it. But, yeah, there's a prop that's plus money, and it's fantastic. It's Brian Harman to miss the cut. And Brian Harman is a fantastic golfer. He's got one hole in his game, and it's length. And this course is brutally long, and we've got a long sample size of Brian Harman struggling at long courses. I'll go back to the Masters, which is a long course, and he missed the cut there. He even said this course is too long for me. I don't perform well. Last week, they played at Quail Hollow. That was a long course. He finished 47th out of a field of only 68 golfers. And the course this week is longer than both of them. He's a fantastic putter, but his length off the tee is just going to be a bad matchup for this course. He's plus money because he's a great golfer. This is a guy that's won a major, but course setup is just the wrong fit for him this week. Look for him to have better days ahead at courses like the U.S. Open, maybe even the Open Championship. But for this week, he's an absolute fade, plus money on Brian Harman, who's too short off the tee to have success here at Valhalla.
The wrong course for Brian Harman, says Andy Lang. And Lang, my follow-up question for this is, please tell me you're not actually driving right now.
I am not. I was going to time it close, and I didn't think I was going to make it home in time to jump on, so I thought I'd play it safe, and I just pulled over to make sure I was here for my segment. Producer Dan has enough going on. He doesn't need me running through the driveway and the house trying to get on camera. So, yes, I am safe. Safety first, as always.
Very
Let's
disappointed to
talk
hear that,
about
Teddy, because if Andy was driving and doing it at the same time, that would make for some really good TV live on Wager Talk today. I assume you have no follow-up for the golf, Teddy, do you?
Well, so I remember trying to do a radio hit. It wasn't even a video hit. It was a radio hit. And I'm driving. I'm like, I can do this and drive. And I'm like, no, I can't. No, I can't. And then pulled over in a truck stop on the side of the highway. That was Paul Feinbaum, by the way. My one and only appearance on that show was a complete disaster because I tried to do it as I was on the air. He never had me back. Andy, let's talk a little Oilers and Canucks for game 5, game 6?
Game 5 tomorrow night. Yeah, game 5 tomorrow night, I believe, in Vancouver.
Last night was a thriller. Will we see more of the same? Edmonton minus 140 on the road, total 6.5 juice to the under. We got a player prop here that we're looking at. What is it?
Yeah, we don't really need too much of a breakdown. It's Leon Draisaitl to have a power play point. How do you like a prop that's hit in 9 straight games? I do. Let's make it 10 in a row. This Oilers power play it's got to be the best power play we've seen over the last couple years. Anytime the Oilers go on a power play, it's like, oh no, just pencil in a goal. Draisaitl is always involved in these. The movement of the puck is beautiful. The setups are great. Sometimes it's like a cat playing with its food when the Oilers get on the power play. So I don't need to overthink this. And for some reason, the books are still giving us like minus 120, despite the fact that he's hit it 9 games in a row. So rinse and repeat. Don't overthink it. Leon Draisaitl will have a power play point.
Andy, I'm going to ask you about a little basketball here on the way out. Thunder Mavericks game 5 is tonight. We talked Cavs Celtics earlier. Just a reminder, I did an NBA breakdown video. We'll have the NBA show at 4:15 Eastern, but we haven't looked at the game here on the show, and I love getting props from you. I've talked a lot about Doncic in my daily video about how his knee is not healthy. His three-point shooting has been very weak, and I've been looking at the assist prop, but surprisingly, that assist prop has not been hitting. I'm very intrigued by this one. You're looking at a rebound prop from Luka. Give us the analysis on this and which way you're going on the 9.5 rebounds for the superstar for the Mavs.
Yeah, Teddy and I talked about this exact prop on Monday, and it hit Monday night. We're going right back to it. So, Steve, what we're seeing with Doncic is, yes, he's clearly hurt, not even close to 100%. And what we're seeing is really putting him underneath the basket, especially in the first quarter. On defense, they're trying to protect him. They're trying to make sure he doesn't get much wear and tear. And so he's just standing under the basket. He's grabbing all these rebounds. The last 3 games since they've really been focusing on this, he's had 10, 15, and on Monday he had 12. I thought for sure the books would move this to 10.5. They didn't. They've left it at 9.5. So it's a play again tonight. If he does go over again, if he gets another 12 or 13, my guess is they bump this up to 10.5. So it might be the last time we get a single-digit rebound prop. So, yeah, Luka planting himself underneath the basket, grabbing all the rebounds. 9.5 is a good enough number for me, even if it's minus 130. So, yeah, take over his rebounds.
Luka's injury helps bettors cash tickets when you're talking about rebound props. Makes a ton of sense, Andy Lang. That's why we love having you on the show as often as we can get you. Tell us what you have going right now at WagerTalk.com so we can let you get on your way and get out of that car.
Promo code Andy7 gets $30 off a 7-day pass. This is important because you're going to get all the PGA Championship plays. I continue to be number 1 in golf for units gained in 2024. Never had a losing season in golf. We have not one, but 2 5% plays that are up right now. One is a cross-sport parlay. And yes, Steve, one is a darts play. We have a 5% darts play. We had one 2 weeks ago. We cashed it easily. We're going to go ahead and cash it again. So promo code Andy7 gets $30 off a 7-day pass. All sports. We're up over 60 units. 24. Check it out, wt.buzz/AL.
So sports books, they're trying to cut him off at the end because he's talking darts, and they get crushed when Andy Lang, the prop master, gives out darts plays on WagerTalk.com. And once again, Andy will be co-hosting with me on Friday, actually, because Teddy will be with the Prez even more on this Friday. So if you want to see Teddy and Steve, you better tune in tomorrow on Thursdays. That's your last opportunity. And then it's myself and Andy on Friday. So some great Wager Talk Today episodes still to come. A quick reminder, we have 2 fantastic site-wide promos going right now at Wager Talk. Speaking of the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs, they're both discounted to just $99 for the rest of the season. You can choose either or. You can get them both. Each are $99. No promo codes needed. The rest of the NBA playoffs, the rest of the NHL playoffs, it's about a month each for just $99 each. Also, if you want to try out baseball, that's the bread and butter, the daily sport, the moneymaker for the next several months. Now is the time to do so. A 7-day package has been discounted down to just $49. That's right, 7 days and nights for $49. That works out to exactly $7 a day for baseball to try it out for the next week. No promo codes needed there either. They're on the drop-down menu on the right-hand side of every Capper's page, so check those out, including myself, Steve Merrill, and Teddy Covers. Teddy, I will see you again tomorrow, and then you will be getting ready for Friday's big show. Take us home.
Sure, I will not be getting ready. Oh, I'll be getting ready for Friday's big show at the Sphere. I will not be getting ready for Friday's big show.
Yeah, I realized as I said that was going to probably confuse a lot of people, but yeah, the bigger show for you and Prez.
Yeah. I won't be doing a wake up and win on Friday morning, which is what we're calling the opening line report now, by the way. Wake up and win with Teddy Coverage. So there'll be no wake up and win on Friday, and I won't be on Wager Talk Today. That being said, like every weekday, there will be a Wager Talk Today on Friday, each and every weekday. Your Sports Central for gamblers. We appreciate the likes. We appreciate the follows. We appreciate the comments. Best of luck with all your bets on Wednesday night. Cheers.